Lacey plopped down in the chair next to Laney's with a huge sigh. Laney didn't hate it here. Coming here had always given her a sense of peace. She liked the quiet, the only sound crickets chirping in the grass or the closer buzz of a bee in the flower bed along the porch. At night, sometimes the wind blew or rain fell in a monotonous drone that lulled her to sleep. Today, though, she felt restless. The July air seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for something. She felt that same sense of anticipation inside her like the flutter of butterfly wings. Something was about to happen. She didn't share these thoughts with Lacey, who would have made fun of her. "You are so dramatic," her younger sister often said. "You should have been an actor or a writer or, well, anything but an accountant." "I'm going to bake some cookies," Lacey said, shoving herself out of the chair. Her sister had never been able to sit still for long. It was only 9 a.m. Lacey had already made them both breakfast, including a blueberry coffee cake, a spinach and bacon quiche, and smoothies. But then Lacey wasn't happy unless she was cooking. "I've never understood why Gramps keeps this place," Lacey said as the screen slammed behind her. Laney understood. This house was all they had left of their daughter Geneva. She and Lacey had been born here. That was before their father had been killed in a car accident between here and the small Montana town of Whitehorse to the north. The first settlement of Whitehorse had been nearer the Missouri River, but when the railroad came through, the town migrated 5 miles north, taking the name with it. The original settlement of Whitehorse was now little more than a ghost town, except for a handful of ranches and a few of the original remaining buildings. It was locally referred to as Old Town. Old Town Whitehorse had once been the home of horse thieves who'd been either hanged or forced out by the early settlers. Laney's family had been one of the first to settle here, just miles from where the Missouri River wound a deep cut through the land. This house and the early memories of their daughter were all Gramps and Grandma Pearl had. Titus kept the place up as if he believed that one day Geneva would return. Laney and Lacey visited each summer for the promised 2 weeks. Laney felt guilty that it wasn't more, but both she and Lacey had their own lives, Lacey in Seattle and Laney in Mesa, Arizona. The house sat empty the rest of the time, waiting for someone who was never going to return. Laney tried to go back to her book, but her mind kept wandering. She found herself looking down the long dirt road. If anyone had been coming, she would have been able to see the dust cloud miles away. Nothing moved. Huge cumulus clouds bobbed along in an ocean of blue as the sun rose higher and the day began to get hot. A cloud floated over, casting a dark, cool shadow over her. Laney shivered, sensing a change in the air. An instant later, she was startled by the unexpected thunder of hooves as her cousin Maddie came riding around the end of the house. Maddie leaped off her horse in a cloud of dust, her face flushed with excitement under her western straw hat. "I heard you were here," Maddie said as she bounded over the railing just as she'd done since she was a child. "Mother's coming by later, but I couldn't wait so I rode over," she said as she gave Laney a hug. "Got in last night." Laney smiled in spite of herself as she looked at her cousin. Now 19, Maddie hadn't changed that much from the gangly, freckle-faced girl she'd been. She was tall and slim to the point of being skinny, with a mop of thick reddish blonde hair and light blue eyes. She wore a western shirt, jeans, and boots. "Where's Lacey?" Maddie asked excitedly. "Cooking, I'll bet. Oh, what is that heavenly smell?" From inside the house came the warm, rich scent of chocolate chip cookies baking, even though it was way too hot to bake. As if that had ever stopped Lacey. "Who wants a warm cookie?" her sister called on cue from inside the house. "Guess who?" Maddie called back laughing, then looked at Laney, her expression sobering. "I wish you lived here. I hate these short visits. They're never enough." She gave Laney another hug, hanging on longer this time. Laney sensed a small shudder in her cousin's thin frame. She pulled back, taking Maddie's arms to look at her.